I'll say it as a fan and nothing else. Locking up Rashid Shaheed on a 3-year, $51 million deal is a massive gamble that signals a total shift in how we approach this Seahawks offense. The team has officially prioritized his speed over the open market, committing significant cash to a player who has yet to prove he can be a primary target. It is fascinating to see the front office double down on this experiment when the receiver room is already so crowded. My name is Lucas, and the more details come out, the harder it is to ignore what is going on behind the scenes. Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop your name and city in the comments. We are a brand new channel pushing toward our first 1,000 subscribers, and every single person who joins this community helps us keep going. Let's get into it. The Seattle Seahawks have made a definitive statement regarding their offensive direction by signing wide receiver Rashid Shaheed to a 3-year, $51 million contract, effectively securing him before the start of free agency. Shaheed arrived in Seattle via trade from the Saints last season, though he struggled to find his rhythm, tallying just 18 catches for 206 scoreless yards across 12 games. Despite those modest numbers, his impact was felt through his dynamic special teams performance, where he recorded 3 combined touchdowns. Many fans initially feared the front office might move on from the speedster, but this new deal indicates a firm long-term commitment to his development. According to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, the plan is for new offensive coordinator Brian Fleury to integrate more shifts and motions to maximize Shaheed's speed, a strategy that reportedly thrived throughout the spring alongside quarterback Sam Darnold. Let's be real, the reaction among our fan base is split between genuine excitement for his potential and a lingering anxiety regarding the financials. The contract structure is particularly notable as it contains no guaranteed money for the 2027 or 2028 seasons beyond an injury guarantee linked to the outcome of Super Bowl LXI. This creates immense pressure on a player who has yet to prove he can function as a consistent primary target in our system. With a crowded receiving room featuring Cooper Kupp and Jackson Smith-Njigba, we have to ask if there are enough opportunities for all these playmakers to succeed. The core issue remains whether this massive investment will provide the desired production or if the staff will regret bypassing other roster needs to lock him up. We must now look at the specific tactical adjustments planned for the upcoming season to see if this offense can truly accommodate such a high-priced collection of talent without fracturing its natural chemistry. The most surprising aspect of this massive $51 million investment is that it effectively bypasses the traditional veteran market to bet exclusively on untapped potential. We reached this crossroads because the front office grew tired of watching speed walk out the door, choosing instead to replicate the high-motion success seen in schemes like those utilized by the Los Angeles Rams. Historically, our organization has favored proven commodities over raw projects, yet this decision signals a complete departure from that conservative management style. When you look at the 2026 cap landscape, this deal is designed to maximize flexibility by keeping our annual financial burden manageable while locking in a player who demonstrated flashes of brilliance in the return game last year. Here is what people are missing about the internal logic. The coaching staff believes that previous struggles were a result of poor deployment rather than a lack of talent. They are banking on the idea that a refined, scheme-heavy approach will finally unlock the consistency that was missing during his initial stint with the team. While some might point to the lack of offensive production last season as a red flag, the decision-makers are prioritizing the projected impact of a healthy, focused athlete over past numerical output. If this gamble pays off, we could see a total transformation of our vertical passing attack, but failure would certainly force a difficult conversation regarding our long-term resource allocation. The pressure on our leadership to justify this specific contract is immense because we are effectively betting our immediate future on a player who has yet to prove he can command a full workload. It is a high-stakes move that defines the current era of our franchise under Jody Allen, setting the stage for either a brilliant resurgence or a cautionary tale about chasing speed without sufficient proven results. The decision to lock up Rashid Shaheed for 3 years at $51 million represents a defining crossroads for our franchise because it forces us to finally settle the debate between potential and proven production. We are no longer just hoping he develops into a threat. We are investing heavily in a vision that demands immediate, tangible results on the scoreboard. By committing these resources now, the front office is essentially betting that Brian Fleury can solve the puzzle of integrating 3 distinct talented receivers into a single, cohesive game plan. And honestly, this creates a fascinating ripple effect across our salary cap, as we now have much less flexibility to address depth elsewhere on the roster. With this massive contract in place, every single pass thrown in Sam Darnold's direction will be under a microscope. especially when we face tough division rivals like the Rams or the 49ers who rely on disciplined defensive schemes. These teams will test whether our offense can maintain rhythm when the coverage tightens and the pressure mounts. If Shaheed struggles to elevate his offensive output beyond those 18 catches from last season, our path to the playoffs becomes significantly steeper. We need this speed to stretch the field, effectively opening up the middle for Jackson Smith-Njigba and creating space for Cooper Kupp to operate in his vintage form. Without consistent offensive production from Shaheed, our reliance on special teams remains our only fallback, which is a dangerous way to compete for a championship in such a competitive league. We are essentially forcing our own hand, banking on a breakout year to justify the price tag. The coaching staff is now firmly on the clock to prove that this financial commitment to speed will translate into the wins we all expect as we push toward the postseason this year. The primary argument for this significant investment rests on the unique versatility Rashid Shaheed brings to our offensive scheme, as he is clearly more than just a deep threat. By securing his services, the front office is providing Mike Macdonald with a chess piece that can manipulate defensive coverage, forcing opponents to respect the perimeter while creating necessary room for Cooper Kupp and Jackson Smith-Njigba to operate underneath. This level of tactical flexibility is exactly what modern offenses require to sustain drives against disciplined defensive units. The part fans are not ready for is the inherent risk of betting $51 million on a player who has yet to prove his consistency in a primary role. If his production remains stagnant, this contract will quickly become a heavy anchor on our salary cap for years to come. Throughout the league, analysts remain divided on whether this strategy reflects genius or desperation. While some observers believe he could evolve into a true breakout star, others are pointing to potential alternative targets who were available during free agency, specifically mentioning players like those currently finding success with the Houston Texans or the Minnesota Vikings as cautionary tales of overpaying for specialized talent. Here is where I land on this. While the prospect of his explosive speed is exciting, I find the widespread hype regarding his immediate transition to a WR1 role to be slightly overblown. It is far more likely he remains a high-end complementary piece rather than the focal point of the passing attack. Expecting a massive statistical jump simply because of a new contract often leads to disappointment for the fan base. We must remain measured in our expectations until we see him prove his worth during the opening weeks of the regular season when the pressure is at its absolute peak. This massive investment signals a fundamental shift in how the Seattle Seahawks plan to operate under head coach Mike Macdonald over the coming seasons. By prioritizing a speed-based weapon like Rashid Shaheed, the franchise is moving away from a traditional run-heavy identity to embrace the vertical, space-oriented modern game. The truth is, this front office is placing a heavy bet on their ability to develop raw talent into a consistent starter, effectively banking on the idea that specialized skill sets can overcome the need for a high volume of catches. You should feel optimistic but guarded about this direction, as success hinges entirely on whether the coaching staff can integrate Shaheed without disrupting the established roles of Cooper Kupp and Jackson Smith-Njigba. If this experiment succeeds, our offense could become one of the most unpredictable units in the league, but any failure here might complicate our salary cap flexibility in the long run. We are watching a high-stakes gamble where the organization is prioritizing potential ceiling over proven consistency. To get a better sense of where the fan base stands on this, I want to pose a specific question. Do you believe Rashid Shaheed will surpass his previous career high of 206 receiving yards now that he is locked into this 3-year deal? This is the central debate we must follow as training camp approaches and the roles become defined. If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. We are still pushing toward our first 1,000 subscribers, and every one of you helps us get there. Go Hawks! I'll see you in the next one. Until then, make sure to hit that bell notification icon so you never miss a single update about our favorite team as we break down every play and chase that championship trophy.